morning. My name is Robert Kelly. I'm an American academic from South Korea, and I'll be interviewing our guest here. Thank you for coming. I think a lot of people have a lot of interesting questions and would like to hear the events of your life and how you got to the point where you defected. So we have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to jump right in because the ambassador has a great deal of interesting things to say. So we've seen over the years, I think most of us are now aware that the average North Korean citizen struggles, right? We know that the average North Korean faces a caloric deficit. We understand that the average North Korean sort of lives under a police state. But I think many people are curious what it's like for a North Korean diplomat. Did you have a sense of distinction from the rest of the population? What was life like near the top of the North Korean system?
Interesting question. Whenever I travel worldwide, the first question I receive is that why did you defect? You are one of the highest ranking of North Korea. You are rich in North Korea. You have all those privileges. What's the reason? So whenever I have these questions, I defect North Korea for freedom. As a diplomat, I spent some time in Europe. For instance, I served in North Korean embassies in Denmark, Sweden, and my last service was in London. And whenever I work in those foreign countries, I always took my wife and my 2 sons with me, and my last post was in London. And as a diplomat, I had to lead a very double life. For instance, when I meet the foreigners, then I have to protect North Korean system and its policies, which I do not believe in. But in the evening, when we have family, the dinner, we have always this the debate about the British system and North Korea. And whenever we went back to North Korea, because after I spent 2 or 3 years in Europe, then we should go back to North Korea. But whenever we went back to North Korea, it is one of my greatest concern to control my sons, because they experienced the freedom, democracy, all the basic concepts of human rights in London. So when they are back in Pyongyang, in North Korea, they have to be very careful not to tell his friends what he experienced. So his friends kept on asking my sons, how about the life in London? And these questions always put my sons in a very difficult situations, because he can't tell his friends about internet, the YouTube, internet games, the books or songs he sang. So my sons always ask me, Daddy, my friends kept on asking about our life in London. Then my answer is that please read the Oliver Twist again. About that is one of the few novels which were allowed to be read in North Korea. And my son would copy some of the stories of Oliver Twist and tell his friends. This is the life in London. So, this kind of pressure, psychological pressure went on, built up on me, my kids, my wife. So when my kids were controllable when they were young, but when they reached the age of, my first son, when he reached the age of 26, my second one was 19, they have their own, viewpoints, and they were very much frustrated. But so at last I decided to break free, because as a father, I think it is my last mission to cut the chain of slavery, because I thought that the life as a diplomat and the life of the children of diplomats of North Korea is nothing but more than the slavery. That is the main reason.
And you've defined North Korea as a modern-day slave state. Would you like to expand on that?
Yes. First of all, North Korean system always brainwashes people that North Korea is the capitalist paradise, where the free education, free medical care, free housing are applied to the masses of the people, and the capitalism is the devil, But actually, these free education, free housing, free medical care are only available to some group of the people, because North Korea is a society which is built on classification of its people. Around 20 or 50% of the population are belonging to so-called core class, where I used to belong. And only these people are privileged to enjoy some of the benefits of North Korean system. And the majority of the North Korean people are banned to enter good jobs, like the job like me, or they are banned to enter good universities, good jobs. There is absolutely no freedom. I want to tell them that even North Korea, there's no freedom to be unemployed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? There is no freedom to be unemployed. The government and the regime appoint your job. And if you are appointed a job, you have to follow the instructions of the regime.
Okay. I think many people wonder, now that we have a new Kim in charge, we have a third Kim Jongun, is there any possibility of shifting loyalties within the regime? Do you see any change, anything going on within the North Korean elite, within the leadership that symbolizes that there might be change coming?
These years, I think, changes are taking place, but the changes are taking place very slowly because of the smuggling in a lot of cultural contents of South Korea, America. Now North Korean population watch these cultural contents secretly at night. So North Korea is a kind of society where the people pretends to be loyal to Kim Jong-un and its regime, but at night they watch American films or South Korean dramas or movies. So I think the people's mentality are taking place, but changes are taking place. But meanwhile, North Korean regime, Kim Jong-un regime, intensified its policy of terror. So that's why the people in North Korea are very much terrified. They know quite well that if they stand up or challenge against the system, then they would be immediately sent to prison camps, or if he openly challenged the system, then you could be just, persecuted without any dual trial. So the people are just terrified in North Korea.
Can you speak more to, because I think this interests our audience, can you speak more to information entering North Korea and the possibility of change? The Human Rights Foundation has actually worked on this. The Human Rights Foundation has emphasized this idea also, and so have many other human rights campaigners, the idea that if we flood North Korea with information, the preferences of young people as they grow up will sort of slowly bend the regime over time. HRF has supported a flash key campaign to send flash keys into North Korea. So can you speak a little bit more to this idea of information changing?
Yes, North Korea has a very peculiar structure of the power where Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader, is regarded as like a god. So the supreme leader, the leader of North Korea, is the god, and after him there is a party's regulation, and after party's regulation there is a constitution. So it's a kind of society which is controlled by one man and one family. And the basic principle which govern North Korea is the North Korea Workers' Party's 10 principle of monolithic ideological the system. But Kim family actually copied this 10 principle of monolithic ideological system from 10 commandments from the Bible. It is exactly the same. They just changed the God to Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. So that's why...
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, so I think it is very important to smuggle in the outside informations to educate North Korean people that Kim family is not the God. Yes, they are just human beings. The principles they are applying are just the copy of 10 commandments from the Bible. So I think when we educate, of course, the change is very will take place very slowly, but when we can educate and enlighten North Korean population with outside informations, so that if North Korean people can have ability to compare the North Korea with the rest of the world, when they have the sense of comparability, then I think we can make a change inside North Korea. But now current North Korea is totally isolated.
Right.
Yes.
But you told me in our pre-conversations, you told me that the North Korean elite doesn't really believe the ideology. So if the North Korean elite doesn't believe it, and the population also experiences all this new information coming, how does that lead to change inside North Korea? I mean, does everyone at some point kind of agree there's like a social agreement that the ideology is just is a myth, it's just mythology? How does information change North Korea? Like in 20 years, what would all this information flood make North Korea look like?
I think if we disseminate outside information, at least we can change the way of thinking of individual North Koreans. If you see every individuals are just, you see, one dot. But if these dots are changed by outside informations, if any day, if there is a spark, I think these changes can be connected, these dots can be connected into lines. And if these lines become into kind of small square, so that's why I think anything can take place if we can educate we can educate North Korean population by dissemination of informations. Because the difference between the communist states and capitalist states is that nothing is predictable in communist states, because everything was suppressed by the regime. The people do not open their minds easily, so even the regime do not understand how much frustrated North Korean people are at this moment. So I think the most important thing is to disseminate as much as information. We should smuggle in more and more so that the people must be educated in advance.
Okay, we've only got a couple more minutes, so I'd like to ask a little bit about the human rights violations, which I think are pretty well known now. And in the West, the UN released a major report shepherded by Michael Kirby a few years ago that goes into pretty grim detail. I would encourage you all to read at least the précis if you have the time. As a diplomat, how much did you know about this? I mean, were you aware of the level of torture and brutality in the gulags? Kirby analogized the North Korean gulag system to the Nazi concentration camp system, which is pretty horrific. Are North Korean elites aware of this? Were you aware of this?
Of course, you see, everyone in North Korea knows these political prison camps. It is a common knowledge. For instance, when someone beside you just disappear, then without any explanation by the government, by the regime, then everyone would just know that, he and his family are sent to prison camps. For instance, in recent years, when the uncle of Kim Jongun was persecuted openly in North Korea, a lot of my colleagues just disappeared. For instance, the ambassador to Cuba, to Malaysia, they were just sent to prison camps because nobody knows where. And my friend, the ambassador to Sweden, ambassador to UNESCO, all of a sudden were called back to Pyongyang and they were expelled from the Ministry of Foreign. So these kind of things are very common, even just beside me. So it's really a universal and common knowledge about the presence of prison camps in North Korea.
Is it possible, and I think another thing that a lot of us on the outside are interested in, is it possible for outsiders to pressure North Korea into improving the human rights situation? Right? I mean, there's a huge human rights campaign out there, especially in the West, that looks at North Korea. Lots of groups have looked at this. Amnesty, Human Rights Watch, HRF, lots of groups have worried about North Korean human rights over the years. Does any of that make a difference? Does it help? And if it does, how?
Yes, I think so. I think we should go on two tracks. I think we have UN system, which is on human rights. And I think we use this governmental system to continue the pressure on North Korea openly. And on the meanwhile, I think we should use the track of NGOs. I think NGOs nowadays have a very great influence. If we raise the voices on human rights, not only on North Korea, but all those human rights atrocities and abuses worldwide, and if we are united and connected each other, then I think that we can pressure our governments to raise more pressures on North Korea or any, those tyrant governments worldwide, so that I think these NGOs connections are very important, I think, to raise the pressures on our governments, so that our governments raise more pressures on those tyrants worldwide, I think.
Okay, we got about a minute here. We're over time, so I'm going to take up like one more minute to ask you one final question, just about the future, right? So in 10, 20 years, where is North Korea in terms of information, like we talked about, human rights? Will the leadership lighten up? I mean, are we stuck with another long 40-year Kim tyrannical reign, just like the previous two Kims? I mean, is there any possibility that this will improve? Can you offer any hope to all of us that
I think
we're making things better? Thank you.
I'm absolutely sure that Kim Jong-un regime cannot go on another 20 years. Of course, 10 years is too short, but I think within 20 years there will be a collapse because the young generations are growing in North Korea. The young generations are not interested in the ideologies, and they are more influenced by outside informations like American and South Korean films and dramas. And now in Northeast Asia, the people are traveling very freely around the world. And at this moment, there are around 100,000 North Korean workers worldwide. So they are traveling from world to North Korea. So these people carry these informations. When they travel to other countries for work, they see the free world and they see the free movement of the people. So this kind of, the knowledges may reach the majority of the people. So that's why I think North Korea will be changed within 20 years.
That's
we
great
should have a hope.
Very optimistic. Well, we really are out of time. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you.